I will begin with an honor and delight to welcome and introduce Dr. Bajaj. He's the co-founder and director with Ujala Cygnus Hospitals. He is an alumni of prestigious institutions like INSEAD, IIM Kolkata, PGIMS Rohtak, and a Chevening Scholar from King's College of London. Dr. Shuchin Bajaj has also bagged numerous awards and accolades, and amongst several credentials, he is a certified professional of diabetes management and total control from American Academy of Continuing Medical Education USA since 2008. Not just that, but he has also done an advanced program in cardiac emergencies from Boston University in 2014. He has also completed the Elite Seed Transformation Program conducted by the Stanford Global Business School. He is on the board of a numerous NGOs of national prominence as advisor health programs and has played an active part in the healthcare tracker record of Zentro's India's 2022 coalition. Not just that, but he is also a part of the HelpAge International's regional research initiative on the older people's health as the academic partner of the International Health Working Group. He is an avid healthcare investor and is associated with multiple health tech companies as investor, board member, and mentor. He also sits on the TBIU board of the Foundation for Innovation and Technology Transfer at IIT Delhi. He's on the Startup Committee of Delhi Government, and Dr. Bajaj is the General Secretary of the Committee Board of Chevening Alumni of India. So, if I continue to speak about him, the list will go on and on. But last but not the least, I would like to mention that Dr. Bajaj, as a frontline healthcare warrior, is part of the founding and active team of Project Step 1, which has created volunteers, doctors, and technology startups who come together under the umbrella of Startups versus COVID and have joined forces to augment healthcare delivery infrastructure. Dr. Bajaj has been a part of Sopra Steria and Sopra banking family as he continued to extend support during pandemic times as well. So everyone, I request all of you to please join me. Welcome Dr. Shuchin Bajaj as our guest speaker for today's Power Packed session on the significance of holistic well-being as we enter the new way of working. Over to you, Dr. Bajaj.
Good afternoon, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for such a kind introduction, Luigi. I'm sure I don't deserve half of that. But as you've heard, I do a lot of things, right? So I run a group of hospitals. We have 18 hospitals all across North India and in very varied locations from Srinagar to Varanasi, far off. I sit on the IT board. I am the secretary under his leadership at Chevening. I invest in a lot of startups. I am on the startup committee of the Delhi government as well. And then, of course, spend a lot of time on Project Step 1. So, this is what I'm here to talk about, that how is all this possible for a single person, right? It's never uh, possible if you don't have the right work life balance, if you don't think holistically about a lot of things. Otherwise, usually what happens is we are too tired going to office, working 8 hours and coming back, and we've had enough. घर पे आके कोई अगर चाय बनाने को भी बोलते हैं, we're like, please don't talk to me for the next 2 hours. I've had a long drive. I've had a bad day at office. And God forbid if someone says that now, okay, you have to work on 6 other things because that is not part of the day job. That doesn't earn you a living, but it gives you a lot of satisfaction on what you actually want to do in life, right? So you have now 1 hour to help startups. You have to be a mentor to them. You have 20 minutes for some social work going on. You have half an hour for for a meeting on the volunteer effort for COVID or vaccines, or you have another interview, or you have to drive 1.5 hours to come to Tarun's office. So all of this is quite maddening for some time, but if you have a holistic view to health, if you have a holistic view to life as such, if you don't consider life as just a body that you're holding, this is me and this is what I'm going to do. So A single body will of course have a lot of limitations on the work it can do. A single body cannot really work for more than 6 7 hours effectively. If we say we are working for 14 hours, we are not really working for 14 hours. Out of that, the half of the time is being spent on some useless activities, uh, like a chai break or a cigarette break, or just cribbing about our bosses, or lying about things. So you have to step back a little and think of life and your purpose on a much larger scale, right? You have to make a balance on your spiritual as well as the physical side. Unfortunately, we are stuck more and more in the physical side as our lives age. We have more responsibilities, we have family, we have children, so we have to earn money for them, we have to spare time for them, we have to make sure that everything is well settled in our jobs, in our lives. And the age we are in, the late 30s, early 40s, that goes on, this is actually the worst time for everybody, because this is the time when everything needs your highest priority. Your parents are aging, so they need your highest time. They become sick sometimes, you have to go to doctor visits with them. Your children are growing, so they need your maximum time, because this is the time that they can go astray very quickly, so you need to focus on them, need to keep talking on them. Most of us in this age are at middle management roles, so that work needs a lot of time, because we feel we have to grow in our professional life. So our company, our organization, expects a lot out of us, not just the daily 6 7 hours of work. And your body needs the maximum time, because this is the age when your body starts to now go slightly downwards. You've been in the peak of health, you've been at 25 30 years, you believe that, yeah, I can do everything. And suddenly you start realizing that there are limits to physical activity, there are limits to the partying, there are limits that you can't work for 7 hours continuously, or you can't party for 2 days continuously. You have to now slow down. So this is the toughest time to be in overall. And this is the time when you can go either way. You can completely burn out and crash out of the system and say, I had enough, I can't do anymore. And then your relationships, your professional life, your relations with your parents or your children or your spouse, one of them starts taking a hit. At least sometimes everything starts taking a bad hit. Or you can go the other way and start really excelling at everything, which only a very few people manage to do, and then they become true leaders of the society. And you really envy and see, how is this possible? How is this person scaling up his business so much, while at the same time apparently attending all the best parties on social media, and going on all these vacations. So this is the time when you have to step back and see the bigger picture. The first thing that you need to focus on is your own health, mental more than physical. And the problem is, we tend to deprioritize our mental health completely. We don't think about it at all. This is such a big taboo for all of us that if we even discuss what is mental health, people will say, "Yaar, ye to pagal ho gaya hai. Why is he seeing a psychiatrist or a psychologist? Why does this person have a therapist? There must be something wrong with this person." On the contrary, these are the people that you need the most. We tend to victim blame a person of mental health so much that they are so afraid to seek help. Do you victim blame a person that if you have a blood pressure of 180 by 150, do I scold you and say, "Ore, ye kaise karaya tumne? Why are you, creating excuses? You don't want to attend office. That is why your blood pressure is 150." Nobody says that, right? But we will always say, "Oh, you are always tired. You always have excuses. Your mood is not right. Why do you do this?" It's not really. Nobody wants to have a bad mood. Nobody wants to say, "I am too tired to work." So if we are blaming that person, that is truly counterproductive. And if you're blaming yourself, that is the worst thing you can do. I have a lot of patients who've had such a bad time over the last 4 or 5 years because they didn't even realize that they needed to reach out to a professional. They would be tired all the time, they would have body aches, they would have weakness. Whenever they started to work, their mind would get zoned out. They would keep staring at the same email or the same screen for 20 minutes and they wouldn't understand what to do. And then they would get scolded by their bosses because they were not delivering. Then they would shut the laptop down and keep crying for next 5 hours that something is really wrong with me. I am not the right person. Then they would develop aches and pains. Then they would say that something is wrong, maybe an autoimmune disorder. Doctors would keep investigating the wrong side. And finally, when you get to them, you find out that they have fibromyalgia or chronic fatigue syndrome, and it is all secondary somatization that is happening. Your brain is not working well, that is why your body is having all these symptoms, when actually in the body there is nothing wrong, but nobody is trying to find out what is wrong. And you start these patients on only very very mild small treatments, and their lives are suddenly transformed. They're like, oh, what was happening, why was this not told to me earlier? They haven't seen a happy day in the last 5 years, and suddenly now they're smiling all the time and they're the best performers. So if there is something that is troubling you, even if it is a very mild thing, even if you feel something is wrong, I am not really at the top of my game right now, please do not hesitate to go and seek out professional help. Right? You won't talk to a colleague or a co-employee for your diabetes management, right? You won't say, "अरे मेरा blood sugar is 300, तुम ही कुछ बता दो, कुछ मेथी खा लें, कुछ." Nobody does that. You go to a doctor, right? My blood sugar is not under control. What should I do? So why don't we all do that for our mental health issues as well? Because there is such a taboo around it. So we have to break it. Second, time management is an issue. Now everybody is cribbing that, oh, we have to come back to office, we have to drive an hour, 1 hour back, 1 hour forth, and this is such a waste of time. We can actually do much better at home. Why do we have to come to office? Working from home is so much better. So let me tell you, humans naturally are tribal animals. We have to be in tribes. We are not loners, right? We are not like tigers that can stay alone for a long time, not like cheetahs. We love to live in tribes, and if we are forced to live alone, again your mental health issues will become so big after a short while that you will never be able to work. And chaos is a second nature to us. Tidiness is a learned habit. So if you see children, if you let them be, they will keep creating chaos. They will throw things, they will be untidy, they will make themselves untidy, they will jump into puddles of water. That is what they love. But then society comes in and starts creating a structure around them, that this is not the way to live, this is not the way to be productive. So if you want to be productive, you have to slot your day. So you have to get up in the morning, get ready, go to school. You let a child be, he will never get up in the morning, let alone go to school. Is a very, very long way off. Will stay at home, keep sleeping till 10 o'clock in the morning, have fun, not have a bath for 3 days, eat and just throw the wrapper there. So nothing will happen unless you come and structure them. So is it good for the child to be unstructured? You may say that is the natural way to be, and that is the newest fad in town, that we should all be as natural as possible. But is that really the way we want our children to be? Unfortunately, we live in a world that is not natural. It is absolutely unnatural for us to be sitting here in a concrete building using internet to reach out to people and talk about these things, right? So we have to live according to what the structure is, what our world is, if we have to be successful in that world. If you are left to yourself in an unstructured environment, apart from the mental health issues, there will be a lot of chaotic issues happening in your environment. And I am sure most of us have seen that in the last 2 years. If you work from home, a lot of structure goes missing. You may try it your best that I work from home, I'm very productive, but there is a gradual loosening of the structure that is happening. You forget the boundaries between your work and your personal life. You stop actually working from home, you start living at work. So these are the things that keep affecting your brain a lot, and your productivity will go down slowly but surely. So having offices, having a workplace is essential sometimes. Maybe not all the time, but at least part of the time we all have to live as a tribe in an official space where there are clear boundaries between your personal and professional life. See, we have never been working from home. We can't work from home. Hospitals are places where even at the height of the pandemic we were always there, and in fact when the height of the pandemic was there we were more required to be there. We set up a 1000 bed completely free of cost hospital in 7 days flat in the outskirts of Delhi when we had no beds. So it was not like we have no beds now, please leave, we can't treat any more patients. We were actually creating more facilities. We created a 100-bed free COVID hospital in Prayagraj at the height of the COVID pandemic when travel was almost next to impossible. Even then, I was traveling to Prayagraj, setting up hospitals there, traveling to Haryana all the time. So, work was something that was not possible for us at home. Although, even at home, we were attending phone calls of our patients, of our friends, trying to create awareness, trying to arrange for some help. But if hospitals were not available at all, do you think we could have treated those patients at home so effectively? It was not possible. So hospitals are an extreme case, of course, where the facilities are very, very different compared to a at-home care setting. But you can say that today I can create an ICU at home. It is possible. But is it so effective? Clearly not. So offices may be a scaled down version, but it is the same result. They may be effective working from home, but clearly not as effective. So all the cribbing about working from home is maybe justified only to a smaller degree compared to what we are thinking. We have a lot of our back offices, lot of our digital healthcare people also having the same issues. But I think people are now realizing that once you are back, you do perform better. The third thing, of course, after managing your brain and your time is managing your physical health, of course. And a healthy mind and a healthy body are the two main pillars on which we stand. If your body is not healthy, then automatically, slowly, your brain will start getting affected. Even if you have a common cold which lasts for 2 3 days, it is very difficult for you to go to work, and very difficult for you to concentrate. You do become slightly irritated, irritable. You do hit out at people. So if your body is not healthy, then it is very difficult for you to perform at the peak of your capacity. So for a healthy body, of course, you need physical exercise. You need to control what you eat. So your kitchen is the main pharmacy. 70% of everything can be controlled in the kitchen. So all diseases, all issues, 70% of everything is controlled in the kitchen. Rest 20% on the playground. दिक्कत आ गया. हाँ एसी में तो दिक्कत आ रही है मुझे भी आ रही है 20% on the playground, so if you can play or exercise, and rest 10% is with us doctors, so we control only 10% of your diseases. uh, but unfortunately the problem is exercise is something that none of us wants to do, right? It's too difficult. So one of our patients said that first time I see a jogger who's smiling, that is the time I will consider jogging. Otherwise, never. The joggers are always, they're having so much pain while running. Anybody who sees them like, यार ये मुझे नहीं करना है. This looks too painful. So, and most of our patients, we are obese because obesity runs in the family, right? My mother is obese, my father is obese. So the only answer to them, of course, is it doesn't run in your family. You're obese because nobody runs in your family. So if they were all running, then there would be no obesity, right? So physical exercise is something that's hugely important for us. Unfortunately, we don't get even 10% of what is needed. So the only difference between trees and animals is that trees are rooted to one spot. Both are living beings, right? Both have feelings, both have life. But trees are rooted to one spot and animals move from place to place. Human beings are supposed to be animals, but unfortunately we behave more like trees now, right? So we sit at home with a remote in the hand, then get into the car, sit in the car, then get on an elevator and come and sit here. It's all sitting, sitting, sitting. And the three S's, which I say are the biggest poisons that we have: sitting, smoking, and sugar, unfortunately, are a huge life partner for all of us in a corporate environment. We're always drinking tea and coffee with a lot of sugar in it. We're always going out for smoking breaks. We're all the time sitting. So, what you should be doing is keeping your mind absolutely stable and your body moving all the time, right? Unfortunately, you are doing exactly the opposite. Your body is sitting stable, your mind is always on the move. Even when you're sleeping, it is always on the move कि ये हो रहा है, ऑफिस में ऐसा हो रहा है, कल उसने ऐसा बोल दिया, ये कॉम्प्लिकेशन चल रहा है, उसने ये कर दिया, मेरा ट्रांसफर होगा कि नहीं, मेरा प्रमोशन होगा कि नहीं. Every time your brain is continuously moving. So there is a Zen proverb which I love: you must sit in meditation for 20 minutes every day, unless you are very busy. Then you should sit for 1 hour. So if you are very busy, you should sit for an hour in meditation. If you're not busy, if you're having fun, then at least 20 minutes. So your physical and mental health are closely tied to each other, right? Closely. So 40 minutes every day, intense exercise at your age, you're mostly young people. Exercise doesn't mean strolling around the park, right? Most of my patients will come, अरे सर मैं तो रोज 1 घंटा चलते हैं, 10 साल से चल रहे हैं, कुछ फर्क नहीं पड़ता है, हमें तो पानी भी लग जाता है सर, पानी पीते उससे भी मोटे हो रहे हैं, तो कुछ असर ही नहीं है. See, because they are not exercising scientifically. Strolling around at less than 6 kilometers per hour burns exactly the same amount of calories which I am burning right now. So sitting and speaking and strolling आराम से same calorie burn. So you can never hope to lose weight by strolling around comfortably, गप्पे मारते हुए, बात करते हुए, आज ये होने वाला है, जैसा है, बेटा वहाँ गया, ऑफिस में ये हुआ. That will not cut it, right? Of course, I'm not saying you should just keep sitting and chatting. That, see, at least your muscles are moving a bit when you're strolling around. You're getting some fresh air. But if you want to lose weight, if you want to burn fat, then you need to shock your body, right? Our body is made of three main things: fats, proteins, and carbs, right? So carbohydrate is your petrol, your gas, which is used for energy. Fats are the beautification of the body, right? The furniture in the building, the chairs, the tables, and proteins are the main structure of the body, the concrete, the pillars on which the building is made, right? So if two people come to your house every day for lunch, what will you do? You will put on the gas and make food for them, right? Fat burning will not be an option. But if suddenly 100 people come to your house and you have to feed them, then you want to do? Break the table, break the chair, put it in the chula. बोले खाना तो बनाना ही है ना, तोड़ो इसको, क्या करें? So your body will never get rid of your table and chair, your fat, until and unless you shock it into burning the fat. Fat is very, very important for the body because, especially for us Indians, we've gone through 5 major famines in the last 200 years. So our body is not very sure whether we'll get food tomorrow or not. So it will keep storing fat. कि कल खाना नहीं मिला तो मेरे पास कुछ तो रहना चाहिए. It will never allow burning of fat till the time you really force it to. So your fat burn will only happen when your resting heart rate is double of your current heart rate is double of the resting heart rate. So if your resting heart rate is 70 when you're sleeping, until and unless your heart rate becomes 140, your fat burn will not start. So if you are having variables, you can track it. If you're not having variables, a simple way to judge it is you become out of breath. So whenever you are exercising, you should exercise in a way when you are unable to speak to anyone. You should be out of breath enough that you are not able to have a talk with anyone. That is the time your fat burn is going on. But of course, no need to win Olympic medals. Don't do it the first day tomorrow कि सब भाग रहे हैं यहाँ पे and then everybody has pulled a muscle and then next 6 weeks nobody is running again. So listen to your body, do it very slowly, build up your exercise slowly, right? Because your muscles are not attuned to exercising like that right now. So if you injure yourself, then it becomes a contra to what we were trying to do. Because next 4 to 6 weeks, then you'll be trying to heal yourself and not doing any exercise at all. So start very slowly, start with 2 minutes, 3 minutes, then build it up slowly as your body feels comfortable. Whenever you feel tired or whenever you feel uneasy, stop immediately. Never push yourself beyond what your body tells you to. It's very important. Build up slowly, you will get there in the next 4 to 6 months. You have plenty of years to live. So 4 से 6 महीने में आराम से build up करिए. Fourth, of course, once you've taken care of the most important parts, your time management, your brain management, and your body management, the fourth thing, of course, comes to your professional management, right? So, and of course, it is very important. However much we may try to say that no, it is not really, important. Your personal life is more important. Your happiness is more important. Everybody will keep teaching you. But if you are not successful professionally, then your personal life also starts taking a hit, right? If you are not successful at your office, if you're not doing well for yourself, if you're not satisfied, then everything else will take a hit. And whatever you say, people do respect people who are professionally successful, right? People will never say, oh, I respect her so much because she's a great homemaker. Oh, I respect him so much because he's a great father. They may feel it, but in front of you, what they will say is, I respect you so much because you are, the head of HR, or I respect you so much because you run your own business. You are successful. So, self esteem is important for all of us. We want to be successful and we need to be successful. So, you have to make sure that you spend enough of your time and energies on your professional life. You take out time to educate yourself, because if you can't educate yourself, then you can't go to the next level. So the day we feel satisfied that okay, this is it, this is what I'm meant to do, is actually beginning of the stagnation, and then somebody will come from behind and topple you. So keep upskilling yourself, keep trying to learn new things, keep trying to be the dumbest person in the room, as I call myself. So try to be surrounded by as smart people as possible, because they will give you a lot of new learnings, a lot of new thoughts to explore, to munch upon, to really find out about, and then you obviously go to the next level. So these are my 5 mantras that I usually follow. The three ones that I started with, of course, are non-negotiable, and the two rest ones are the, as I said, the fat on the meat, the things that make you more successful, more beautiful. And if you follow all of them, I think you will get a little bit on what I feel is the real success in life, that you can do multiple things at the same time. You can run your own business, you can be involved with a very big social organization, you can mentor people to rise, and in a way feel very, very happy about yourself. A few things that I wanted to touch upon, other than this holistic way of living that I follow, is of course there's a lot of questions around newer diseases coming in, newer pandemics coming in. I'm just coming from a TV shoot on the newer nasal vaccine that's coming. There's a lot of questions around that. So my only take on that is there are a lot of things that are beyond our control. We should just let them be. So newer pandemics, if they come in, they will come in. We should leave it to the scientists and the doctors to fight them. We should not be bothered too much about them right now. The pandemic that did come in over the last 2 years has now stabilized. I think this is the new common cold of the next century. For the next 100 years, we will have to live with this virus till the time a new one comes in and then changes the entire paradigm again. The newer diseases that we have been hearing about, monkeypox and now the lumpy virus disease, the tomato fever, I think these are more because of the fact that we have raised the surveillance levels to such a high degree that now we are tracking each and every disease that comes in. A few cases like this, like 20 cases of monkeypox in the country, so would have been there 10 years ago also. A lot of viruses keep coming and going, but our awareness levels were not so high at that time, right? Whatever you focus on becomes very big, right? For example, think of the last car that you bought. Whatever was the last car you bought, when you were thinking of buying that car, when you started thinking, after that point you saw a lot of those cars on road. Before that you never noticed that car, right? Or whatever car you drive, you will keep seeing it on the road because you are focusing on that. Otherwise nobody else is noticing it. Now you're focusing a lot on viruses, on pandemics, on newer diseases coming in. That is why the media is also highlighting it a lot. The more newer diseases come, the more vaccines will also come. The more preventive things will also arise. There's a lot of science going on. So a newer nasal vaccine has just come in. It's a huge achievement for India in itself because mucosal vaccines are not easy to make. And this is the fourth mucosal vaccine for COVID. There are more than 100 vaccines on trial right now, out of which only 20 were able to get to human trials. And this vaccine is one of the first to be accorded approval, which is made by Bharat Biotech. Of course, China, Iran, and Russia have already granted approvals to mucosal vaccines, but we all know those countries are quite opaque. You don't really know what's going on there. But this is a vaccine that can take care of a lot of future issues, right? Because you don't need experts to put in injections, you don't need that much of logistics. Uh, you can just take 2 drops and that's done, right? And this is how we eradicated polio. Because, see, every year we have more than 25 million children being born in India. 2.5 crore children are born in India every year. And polio to be eradicated needed each and every child under 5 to be immunized at the very same time. I don't know how many of you remember we had those polio Ravivars. पोलियो का संडे होता है ना, अमिताभ बच्चन यूज्ड टू कम एंड अनाउंस इट कि संडे को पोलियो है तो आप अपने बच्चे को पिलाइए. So 5 years of 2.5 crore, so 12.5 crore children being vaccinated at exactly the same time. It's a huge achievement, and it would never have been possible if we had only injectables. 12.5 crore injections in a day is very, very difficult to do. Very difficult to do. So it was possible only because we had a vaccine that could be put in into your mouth as a 2 drops, and it was a mucosal vaccine. And this is exactly the same mucosal vaccine that has been approved now for Bharat Biotech. So you just put 2 drops in your nose and that's it. So it's a huge achievement. Will aid us in fighting future pandemics very easily. So your worry level should go down by a massive degree. Also, it has two big advantages that it also prevents minor and mild disease. The injectable vaccines did not prevent mild disease. They only ensured that you would not go to hospital, you would not develop a severe disease. But now this vaccine, because it is in your nose, it will eliminate the virus at the point of entry. So you will not get even a mild disease. And second, you will not be spreading it to anyone. With the previous vaccines, you could have a mild disease and spread it to other people who could get a severe disease. But now, since the virus is eliminated at the point of entry, you cannot spread the disease as well. So pandemics will be cut short very, very quickly. This is a very big achievement, and I think huge sigh of relief for all of us who were looking at newer variants coming out or maybe a deadlier variant. But this vaccine will make sure that none of that happens. Any other questions you have? I'll be very happy to answer. I just wanted to have a small start off before we have an interactive session. I think interactive is more important in a talk about holistic health because if I keep speaking, it's not at all holistic. So, any questions? Happy to answer all of them. Right now.
Yes, so we have received a few questions and I'm gonna put them through. So the very first query is walking for 1 hour sufficient?
So, as I said, walking depends on the speed you are walking at. So, and of course, your age also. So if you are a young person, say around less than 50, 55 years of age, reasonably fit, then you should try to do about a 6 kilometer per hour speed. Or, as I said, try and make sure that your resting heart rate is double of what it is. Or if you don't have those parameters to track anything, if you're just walking out around your house, you don't have a wearable device or you don't have a measurement device, then just make sure you're out of breath for as long as possible. You're unable to speak to the person walking next to you. If you can do that, then it is very beneficial.
Thank you. The next question is, so is it okay if underweight people only do walking and not intense exercise as they don't have to lose any weight?
So, lean is not equal to fit. We have to remember that. So, I have seen a lot of very lean people having a lot of diseases, a lot of issues. I have very lean people suffering from diabetes. I have very lean patients suffering from heart attacks. So, lean is not equal to fit. So, if you are unable to walk briskly for 30 minutes, that means that you are not fit, even though you may be lean. So you should keep measuring how long you can walk and how fast you can walk, and make sure that you keep doing it and keep measuring it daily. So if you measure it daily that I can walk 30 minutes at a brisk pace, then that's enough for me.
Okay. And so people are asking whether a morning walk is better or an evening walk is better because I assume we usually get free time during the evenings. So whatever suggestions.
Whatever time you walk is good for me. I mean, you can walk at 3 a.m., that is fine. But try and make sure that you don't walk after a heavy meal. So you should have at least 2 to 3 hours of fasting and ideally 8 hours of fasting before you do intense exercise. So if you want to walk in the evenings, try and walk before your dinner. That would be the best time to do it, and make sure that you've had lunch more than at least 4 to 5 hours.
Okay. Okay. Another question is, please suggest ways to cure hypothyroid.
Hypothyroid is very easily cured by, I mean, not cured right now. We don't have a cure for hypothyroidism as such, but we can manage your hypothyroid very well with a very small tablet. Uh, Other ways are to make sure that your diet contains enough iodine in it. Iodine is very important for your thyroid. So try to avoid things like cauliflower and which are anti-thyroid in nature by themselves. And always make sure that your salt has enough added iodine into it. Do not take any salt that does not have iodine supplementation, and then of course follow your doctor's instructions. He or she will usually prescribe a very small tablet to you that will take care of all the problems.
Okay. Another query is how to cure physical illness like IBS that occurs due to chronic stress over a period of time.
As I said, there is a lot of these diseases that come up due to chronic stress. I touched upon fibromyalgia. There is a very common disorder called chronic fatigue syndrome, irritable bowel syndrome. Of course, as you said, IBS is one of the major somatized disease forms that come out of stress. So we call this phenomenon as secondary somatization. Your brain starts to have problems, and then your body starts reacting to that without actually having a physical abnormality. We've had patients suffering from rheumatoid arthritis, RA factor positive CFS as well, in which even your RA factor test becomes positive even though you do not have rheumatoid at that moment of time. So all of these diseases are secondary somatization diseases. Of course, needs a lot of work on it because the brain is not very well understood by us doctors even today. After many years of research, it is still a very enigmatic organ for us. So needs a lot of work. May need dosage changes, medicine changes. Some of our patients respond very well at the very beginning of their treatment. Some take 4 or 5 changes of medications to start responding because they don't respond to the first medication. So the important thing in this is to have belief in your doctor. She is doing the best she can for you at this moment. So have belief in her. And second is have a little bit of patience because it may take some time for you to respond to treatment. May take a lot of iteration of doses, etc. So do take some time out for managing it. It is a chronic disease, so it will take some time to respond.
Another colleague of ours wants to know that what is the advisable sleep routine, significance behind it, and how much sleep time is suggested.
So sleep is again very subjective. Some people need a lot of it, and some people need a very little of it. Humans are very, you know, they have a wide range of normal, as we call it. So ideally, in a young person, you should be sleeping around 8 to 9 hours a day. Minimum 8 hours is what we prescribe. But if you feel you can do well with 6 hours or 7 hours, we are not really, advocating you to keep lying in bed even though you're awake. As you grow older, your need for sleep keeps going down. So when you're beyond 50, usually we prescribe 6 to 7 hours of sleep, and beyond 70, it's usually 5 to 6 hours of sleep. But a young person needs more. Teenagers would need maybe even 10 hours of sleep sometimes. So a healthy sleep routine is something else. It does not quantify the number of hours. A healthy sleep routine is you should try and sleep around the same time every day. Try to sleep as early as possible. So if you need less sleep, it's better to sleep from say 10 p.m. to 3:30 a.m. rather than from 2 a.m. to 8 a.m. Right? So your timing of sleep is important. The closer you follow a natural cycle, the natural cycle is you go to sleep at sunset and you rise just before sunrise. That is usually what normal patterns are. So the earlier you go to bed and the earlier you rise, the better it is. So if you want to work extra hours, better to work in the mornings when you are fresher, when you have more concentration powers than keep working late into the night, which usually most of us do. Most of us follow the second path that we'll keep awake till the time we finish our work. So at 3 a.m. or 3:30 a.m. Then we'll go to sleep for 2 3 hours and then rush off to office. It's always better to do it the other way.
Thank you. Another query is, do multivitamins and omega-3 tablets really help our health? And do you have any suggested brands for protein supplements and all that?
So multivitamins, whole body checkups, these are all fads that are very in right now. But unfortunately, I don't subscribe to any of them. You should supplement the vitamins that are needed or are deficient in you. Having across the board multivitamins is something that is absolutely not needed by your body, and sometimes it can have disastrous consequences as well. We get at least 2 to 3 patients in our ICUs every week who come only due to vitamin D overdose. So vitamin D is a very dangerous vitamin, and that is why God has not given it to us in any food. Right? The vitamin D is made only by our body as per need with sunlight. It is not available in any food item because our body has no way to excrete it. Once it's in, it's in. We cannot take it out. So if you keep having vitamin D, it has no way to go out. It will keep depositing in your body and creating damaging environments. And unfortunately, if it goes to your brain, it will cause a lot of issues, seizures, coma, even death. So we do get, as I said, 2 to 3 patients every week in our ICUs due to vitamin D overdosage. And unfortunately, there's no cure for it as such with us. So having multivitamins blindly is not something that I approve of. So let alone giving out brands, of course, no brands here. So second, proteins. So if you want to have proteins, again, natural proteins are the best. There are a lot of food items that give you very, very good proteins, but having 1 gram per kg of protein, which you really need when you're exercising and when you want to build your muscles, is very difficult to get, I agree, in a normal Indian diet. If you're 60, 70 kilos, having 70 grams of protein in your diet is very, very difficult. So at that time, you can go to packaged proteins. The only precaution is try to go for whey proteins. They are the best ones, and try to go for recognized brands because there is a lot of adulteration present in Indian market, especially Indian products. You really don't know what you are getting, and these people are quite ruthless at putting in any sort of stuff that they can. We found even white cement inside some of these protein powder packs, and again we get patients who suffer from kidney damage due to taking all these supplements. So young people as young as 25, 26-year old who've come to our ICUs with kidney damage. A lot of people who come to us with impotence because they keep taking testosterone injections and then their liver shuts down due to that, and then they enter into impotence. So has the opposite effect of what they were trying to do. So all of these supplements, injections, etc., if given in an unsupervised way, can be hugely damaging, way, way more damaging than the good effects that you would have hoped for. So if you're trying to do anything, please do it in an observed environment under the guidance of some expert. Don't do it on your own, and definitely don't do it following an internet advice. That is my 2 cents on that.
Uh, Another colleague is curious about ways to increase immunity.
Very simple. As I said, 70% of everything is in your kitchen. So your kitchen is your best pharmacy. Have a healthy diet. Have as much of fresh items as possible. Avoid processed foods like the plague completely. The three S's I talked about, try to avoid them as much as possible: sitting, smoking, and sugars. So processed sugars are the worst things for us. Humans, I think, are the only animals that partake of this much processed sugar. I don't know how many of you have pets, but if you were to feed your pet even this much of sugar, he will fall sick within the next 2 days. You will see he will develop some itching or some allergy. So humans are the only animals that keep taking this sugar again and again and again, and of course we pay for it in the long run. So avoid processed foods as much as possible. The simplest way to eat anything is what I follow. So whenever I am given a food choice, I just ask myself whether my grandmother used to eat it or not. So if my grandmother ate it, I would eat it. If she didn't, then I would think 10 times whether it is really necessary for me to eat this. So I would never eat all this that is laid out here because it is really not worth it, right? So हम सिंपल सा कहते हैं कि स्वाद देखिए ना तो पेट में होता है और ना प्लेट में होता है, वो 2 सेकंड के लिए आपकी जीभ में रहता है, उसके लिए अपनी जिंदगी खराब करते हैं। ठीक है, पेट में तो स्वाद नहीं है जाने के बाद, प्लेट में पड़ा है तब भी कोई स्वाद नहीं आ रहा है, बस वो 2 सेकंड टच होता है, उसके लिए हम ये भी खा लो वो भी खा लो ये कर लो। आई हैव मेनी फूडी फ्रेंड्स हु वुड ट्रैवल द वर्ल्ड टू ईट, वहाँ उस रेस्टोरेंट में खाएंगे, लाइक ठीक है, एवरीवन टू हिमसेल्फ, बट yeah, so building immunity is very simple. Eat healthy, everything is in your kitchen, and then as I said, about half an hour, 40 minutes of exercise and 20 minutes of meditation. uh, that's all, that's it.
And now that you're talking about food, there's another query on, does fasting help in prevention of any cancer or any disease in any way?
Yeah, so there's a recently, about not recently, about 5 years ago, there's this study came out. So we've known all along that fasting is the only way to increase your lifespan. So if you want to increase your lifespan, there is no other proven method except calorie reduction. So if you reduce your calorie intake, you will have a longer life, is proven for a very long time. But we didn't know exactly how much calorie reduction, right? If you reduce them too much, then you die of famine, right? You die, खाना ही नहीं मिला तो भूखे मर गए. And if you don't increase them enough, then you don't have good results. So we didn't really know exactly how much. Then this study came out about 5 years ago, I think, in Nature. They did a long study on mice on increasing their lifespan. So they found out that decreasing the average calorie consumption by 14% gave you the best results. The lifespan increased the maximum. So I read that study and then said, we've known this all our lives. What is 14%? Is 1 in 7. हर कोई कहता है हमारे घर में कि भाई एक दिन तो व्रत रखो, कोई हफ्ते में एक दिन, कोई मंगलवार का रख रहा है, कोई शनिवार का रख रहा है, कोई वीरवार, कोई एक सोमवार का रख रहा है. Some in the entire Indian culture you have this, that 1 day in 7 you should fast, and that is exactly 14%. So fasting will increase your lifespan for sure. But don't go for fads, don't go for these new fad things that I will not eat for 20 days and I will only be on this particular diet for a month. That really doesn't help. In the long term, it results in rebound cases. So try to avoid eating, as I said, processed foods, try to avoid eating high carbohydrate foods, try to restrict your calorie intake a little bit, and fasting is always good for you if done within limits. Don't overdo it, but that is the definitely something that will increase your lifespan.
Now there's this query, should a person take the help of professional mental help if he feels frustrated most of the time or does not actually feel happy or good?
Definitely, I think you are the best candidate to take professional help, not just because you are frustrated or not feeling happy. The most important thing is you have cognition of the fact that you are not feeling happy. That is the first step to healing. If you realize that there is something wrong, that is the first step. Most of the mental illnesses are difficult to treat because the person does not even realize that they are having that problem. So first you need to make the person realize that okay, this is the issue. Then after that you start healing. So if you already have cognition of the fact, I think it is the best time to reach out for professional help, and within no time you will be feeling much better.
Um, During the session, you also mentioned about the nasal vaccine. So one of our colleagues is curious about, so by when will the nasal vaccine be available for general public, and can this be a substitute for the booster dose? And what is the immunity period for the nasal vaccine?
So we've received emergency use authorization about 5 days ago, 6 days ago now. Unfortunately, right now the EUA is only for vaccine naive individuals above 18 years of age. So only those people who've not taken a vaccine till now can take this vaccine, and only people above 18 years can take this vaccine. But the trials that were done on this vaccine were done both on vaccine naive as well as vaccinated individuals, and it worked very well as a booster on the vaccinated individuals as well. The immunoglobulin levels rose very significantly, and it has already been applied for the booster. So hopefully in the next 3 to 4 weeks, I think it will receive approval as a booster too. It has also been trialed on children, so the application is about to be submitted for 5 to 18 year olds as well. So in the next 2 to 3 months, I think it will be available for children as well. So right now, a very small subset of people who've not taken any vaccine at all are eligible to get it. So I don't think anybody in this room would be um, eligible right now. But yeah, in the next 3 to 4 weeks, I think it will be available as a booster, and then most of us can take.
Okay. Another query is on what are your views on doctors prescribing antidepressants very frequently these days?
See, if doctors are qualified to prescribe them, I am nobody to question their prescription. But the only advice is go to a qualified doctor. Not all doctors are qualified to prescribe antidepressants. So whenever you are visiting a doctor, do find out what the degree is, what the qualification is, and discuss with your doctor as openly as possible. It should be a two-way communication. Unfortunately, right now the balance of power lies very heavily with the doctors in all prescriptions I've seen. So the doctor would just see you and then write two medicines and okay, take them, and there's no discussion after that. So all of us here are very educated people, very well qualified people. So I would urge all of you, whenever you are visiting your doctor, have a time slot pre-appointed with the doctor that I want to have a 10-minute or a 15-minute chat with you. So please call me on that time only, and then talk freely and have a deep diving discussion into why these medicines are necessary, what is the need, what is the side effects that you are foreseeing on that. So all of that, once you are decided on and you are comfortable with the prescription, I think it works much better on the patient as well. If the patient is completely tuned into the treatment and is really having faith in the treatment, 50% of the cure is already there, I think. So I'm sure all of us have read the last leaf, the story, and we've seen the movie based on that as well. So if you have faith in your treatment that you will get well, you will definitely get much better. If you are in doubt all the time that is this correct or not, am I following the right path or not, then your cure takes that much longer to happen.
I'll take the last question now. So, if the treadmill test report is fine, would you recommend exercising intensively in the gym?
Yeah, I mean, as much as you can. If your TMT is fine, then of course your heart is fine. So you should exercise. But as I said, listen to your body. Intensive exercises are very subjective terms. A 2 minute flight up the stairs can be very intensive for some people, and an ultra marathon of 90 kilometers cannot be intensive for some people. So intensive is very subjective. Do as intense as your body allows. But again, none of us in this room are aiming for a gold medal at the Olympics or the Asian Games. So please just stop whenever your body tells you to stop. Don't overexert yourself is very important.
I would like to invite my colleague Mansi to kindly thank Mr. Bajaj for this wonderful session.
Thank you so much, Rui. So, on the behalf of the Sopra Steria India and Sopra Banking Software India, I would like to express my sincere thanks to Dr. Shuchin Bajaj, co-founder and director with Ujala Cygnus Hospital, for such an informative session on significance of holistic well-being as we enter the new way of working. We are grateful for the time and effort you have put it into come and share your opinions and experiences with us. We appreciate your help and hope to have more sessions like this in the future. We also want to thank everyone who participated in this session. Thank you, everyone.